जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरतारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्यष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जयो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस शिल भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की भक्ति देवी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtuprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13. Chapter is entitled The Appearance of Lord Varaha, text number 10. Etavat atmajairvira karyahi apachitir guru shaktya pramattir grihiyeta sadaram gadamatsaraihi Etavatyatmajairvira Karyahiya pachitir guru Shaktya pramattir grihiyeta Sadaram gatamatsaraihi Etavatyatmajairvira Karyahi apachatir guru Shaktya pramattir grihiyeta Sadaram gatamatsaraihi. Mataji's. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the order of his father with great delight and executes it to his full capacity. Purport: when the four previous sons of Brahma, the sages Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan and Sanat Kumar refused to obey their father, Brahma was mortified and his anger was manifested in the shape of Rudra. That incident was not forgotten by Brahma, and therefore the obedience of Manu, Swayambhu, was very encouraging. From the material point of view, the four sages' disobedience to the order of their father was certainly abominable. But because such disobedience was for a higher purpose, they were free from the reaction of disobedience. Those who disobey their fathers on material grounds, however, are surely subjected to discipline. They are surely subjected to disciplinary reaction for such disobedience. Manu's obedience to his father on material grounds was certainly free from envy. And in the material world, it is imperative for ordinary men to follow the example of Manu. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam bangum langhayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Shri Chaitanyamishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. Translation once again. O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the order of his father with great delight and executes it to his full capacity. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all the devotees for our morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Seek the blessings of all the devotees assembled here and all the devotees who are hearing online, so that I can speak something on this very interesting and a very important verse that Brahmaji is actually narrating, and he's telling to his own son Swayambhuva Manu. Srimad Bhagavatam actually is a book which mainly prioritizes our relationship with Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam is that book which speaks primarily about Krishna. But that same Srimad Bhagavatam does not overrule or does not reject any other relationships of this world as well. Srimad Bhagavatam on various occasions speaks about various ideal relationships. It's not just about the relationship of the living entity with Krishna, but Srimad Bhagavatam also tells us how can we live in this world, keeping Krishna in the center, of course. So Bhagavatam definitely is a book on art of living. It's not just a book on art of living, but also a book on art of leaving. We have the example of Bhishma Dev leaving this world in a very ideal way, exemplary way. We have a Srimad Bhagavatam, which is actually a book on art of leading. Bhagavatam speaks about various kings who so very responsibly takes up that duty of ruling the world, ruling the planet, keeping Krishna in the center. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a book on art of linking, where it ultimately tells us to link and connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is a book on art of looking. How do you look? How Srimad Bhagavatam actually transforms our perception and aligns our perfection in the right manner. So Bhagavatam develops that vision towards life. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a book on art of letting go. How these great personalities, say for example Parikshit, he let go of whatever attachment. Atma Jaya Sutagara Pashu Dravina Bandushu Rajye Cha Vikala Nityam Virudam Mamatam Jaho. He could let go so easily, which is not so easy. And then, of course, finally, Srimad Bhagavatam ultimately is a book on art of loving. How great personalities they exhibited, they expressed their love unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So yes, Bhagavatam speaks about various types of ideal relationships, not just the relationship of the living entity with Krishna. And here we see an ideal relationship being mentioned here, ideal relationship between the son and the father. Bhagavatam speaks about ideal relationship between son and mother also. We have an example of Suniti and Dhruva. Ideal relationship between brothers and brothers. We also have example from Dhruva. Dhruva had a stepbrother whose name was Uttam. Uttam. And the relationship is mentioned how Dhruva loved his brother Uttam. We have an ideal relationship mentioned in the Bhagavatam about the friend and friend. Who can be a better example than Krishna having a wonderful friendship with Sudama. So like this, Bhagavatam speaks about various types of ideal relationship, and here in this verse we see Brahmaji is actually congratulating his own son, Swayambhuva Manu. And Brahmaji is telling Swayambhuva Manu that you have such ideal qualities which helps sustain the relationship between father and a son. There was a son who went to his father and said, Pitaji, त्रेता युग में जब रामचंद्र जी आए, उन्होंने अपने पिता के आदेशों का पालन किया, उसी लिए राम को आज पूजा जाता है. लेकिन सतयुग में जब प्रहलाद आए, प्रहलाद ने अपने पिताजी हिरण्यकशिपु के आदेशों का पालन नहीं किया, फिर भी उनको पूजा जाता है. तो अभी आप मुझे ये बताइए कि मैं आपके आदेशों का पालन करूं या ना करूं? Should I follow the orders? Should I obey your orders or not? Father, in a very humble tone, said, बेटा, ये कलयुग है, मेरे और तुम्हारे लिए यही अच्छा होगा कि हम दोनों तुम्हारी माता के आदेशों का पालन करें. That is far more better and conducive for us. So yes, a child, today's generation, children, they actually think that I know more than my father, and what does he know? He's coming from the old generation, he's coming from the old world, we are coming from the new world. Life has changed, things have changed, but my father's perspective towards life is stereotype, old type. He keeps telling me the same thing again and again, which doesn't click to me. So today's generation, this is a very important verse for today's day and age scenario, where many of the sons, they disregard their father. And here we see Swayambhuva Manu, who is actually although there is a gap but that gap is filled. And today we see there is a lot of generation gap, a communication gap. But for sure, all the fathers, they have a very noble, they have a very noble intent for their children. And whoever a father may be, father's heart is naturally filled with good wishes and blessings for their son and daughter, of course. And son also knows that my father wants me to excel, my father wants me to grow, my father wants me to actually grow and succeed more than himself, more than father. And father is also willing to facilitate, father is willing to go to any extent to facilitate that thing to happen by providing money, resources, education, opening up the secrets which he may have not opened up to his to anyone till now. And father also is willing to share all the realizations, the experiences of so many years. So yes, this is the natural loving bond between the father and the son. Of course, for some reasons, son may not agree at all time with the father. But the world has seen all types of sons and all types of fathers. We can categorize father and son broadly in 4 ways. We have an example of a good father and a disobedient son. Example is a good father and a disobedient son is Kamsa and Ugrasen. Ugrasen being the father and Kamsa being the disobedient son. We have the example of King Atharva and his son Vena, disobedient son. So that's the first category. The second category is a bad father and a disobedient son. Of course, it's relative. You may say what is bad and what is good. But here we have an example of a bad father as Dhritarashtra and a bad son as Duryodhan. In today's scenario, the famous example that we all have heard again and again repeatedly is the example of Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, where Aurangzeb, he put his father, behind the bars. The third category is, the example of a bad father and an obedient son. A classic example of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, bad father and obedient son. And the fourth is the good father and good son. And that's what we see here in today's verse, where Brahmaji and Manu, they both resonate, and they both are actually willing to serve each other. We also have the example of Rishabdev and his 100 sons. We also have a classic example of Dashrath Maharaj and Lord Ram, who obeyed his father's instructions to the core. So these are the 4 broad categories. And interestingly here, Brahmaji is congratulating his son Manu for having these wonderful qualities. What are the qualities that a son must have that will help sustain a relationship between father and a son? I was thinking how we can even extend it, these qualities between a disciple and a guru. What are the qualities that a disciple needs in order to serve one's guru? So this verse and the previous verse that we discussed on Sunday, these 2 verses speaks about 6 qualities that a disciple must have for when it comes to serving one's guru. Here it's mentioned the qualities that a son must possess, no, in order to serve one's parents or father in particular. The first quality that's mentioned uh, in the previous in this verse is apachiti. Apachiti means taking instructions seriously. So how a disciple must take the instructions of one's guru to one's heart. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Akya. And we can see how Srila Prabhupada, as a disciple of his Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he embodied these 6 qualities. Prabhupada, he took the orders of his spiritual master, as one's life and soul. And Prabhupada quotes in the verse to 2.41 of Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushakha yanantasha budayo avyavasayinam. And Prabhupada in the purport mentions that how one must take up to the order of one's spiritual master as one's life and soul. That is true determination. So we see Prabhupada embodied this quality of apachiti. Even in case of prachetas, who actually followed the instructions of Lord Shiva, where it is mentioned dhyayanta, smaranta, pujayanta. They not only worshipped Lord Shiva, but they actually meditated and they remembered the instructions given by Lord Shiva. So this is one quality that is mentioned here, a quality that a disciple must have, taking to the orders of one spiritual master seriously. Second is shaktya. Shaktya means giving 100%. Not just wishy-washy fulfilling the desires, but giving one's complete heart in fulfilling the orders of one spiritual master. Prabhupada not just gave 100%, Prabhupada gave 500%. When it came to fulfilling the orders of his spiritual master. Now, I will give 100% if I get credit. But if there are 10 people who are doing the same seva, and probably I may or may not get the credit, then I may not give my full heart. But here we see, Prabhupada had many of his god brothers who were also trying to fulfill the instructions of his spiritual master. But Prabhupada did not compromise. In fact, Prabhupada actually gave his complete heart, shaktya, as per one's capacity. Prabhupada's capacity to serve his spiritual master was just unbeatable, uncomparable. That's the second quality, shaktya. The third is sa-adaram. A disciple must Prabhupada mentions sa-adar. Adar means respect. Prabhupada translates adaram here means serving the orders with great delight, without any grudge. And we see how Prabhupada, whenever he would meet his spiritual master on a limited occasion, when Prabhupada got a chance to meet his spiritual master, the first thing that Prabhupada would ask his spiritual master is, how can I serve you? So Prabhupada had the great respect for his spiritual master, and with great delight. Not that Prabhupada, when he went to West, he's still questioning, why did my spiritual master put this burden upon me in the form of the instruction that he gave me? Not at all. And then the fourth quality is gatamatsare. Gatamatsare means son must not carry envy towards one's father. And here it is mentioned, and here we can see how a disciple doesn't have envy towards one's guru. Guru may get the credit. When the disciple doesn't get the credit, then disciple shouldn't feel, why did I not get the credit when I did everything for my guru? On the contrary, disciple wants to give all credit to one's guru. Nor should disciple think that when I will become guru, then I will take the credit. No, the parampara is all about passing the credit. to our previous acharyas. And we see even after Prabhupada gaining so much name, fame, followership, Prabhupada continued to tell his disciples that you actually all have been chosen by my spiritual master, and you all are the perfect representatives of my spiritual master. So Prabhupada did not take the credit, but gave all the credit to his own spiritual master. And when Prabhupada wrote that beautiful offering, the poem, on the appearance day of his spiritual master, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved, impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. And in that entire poem, all that he does is incessant glorification of his spiritual master. And Prabhupada would constantly keep on telling his disciples that my spiritual master was always there with me, even when I was all alone. So this quality of Gatamatsare does not carrying any envy towards one's senior, one's guru. And the fifth quality that is mentioned here is apramatter. Apramatter is being very sober. A disciple is very sober, free from insanity and free from pride. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Bhaj Hari Prabhu, he recollects that one time Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and Prabhupada was speaking to his disciples, and all of a sudden Prabhupada was taking a morning walk in Saint James Park. And there he saw, while early in the morning when Prabhupada was taking a morning walk, he walked past some young hippies who were sleeping on the bench, there in the garden, in the park. And then Prabhupada commented, by good fortune, all these people can come to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, by good fortune, all these people can come to Krishna consciousness. So this disciple, Bhajari Prabhu, he got this doubt. What is the meaning of good fortune? Because in Krishna consciousness, there is no such thing like chance. Everything happens by the perfect arrangement of the Lord. So he took courage, he gathered courage, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, can you please explain to me what do you mean by good fortune? And Prabhupada directly looked into his eyes, and Prabhupada said, we are their good fortunes. And Bhajari Prabhu says, basically what Prabhupada meant is, we will create good fortune in their lives. Bhajari Prabhu says that Prabhupada could have said, I am their good fortune. But Prabhupada did not use the word I. Prabhupada said, we all are their good fortune. So this was Prabhupada, always grounded, even though he gathered or he amassed such popularity and such followership. So this is the fifth, apramatter. Sixth and seventh are the qualities which are mentioned in the previous verse that we discussed on Sunday. Surrendering without reservation, and seventh is surrendering without reservation is nirvyalika, without any pretense. And the seventh is opening one's heart for receiving instructions. So these are the seven qualities that a disciple must possess when it comes to serving one's guru. In fact, in Niti Shastra, there are 6 types of incompetent disciples mentioned, who all are actually sevaka, but of the lower category or the lower class. Lower class in the sense, not having those ideal qualities. And we will see how Prabhupada possessed all the qualities opposite of these 6 qualities mentioned in Niti Shastra. Actually, these are the 6 kinds of disciples that are mentioned in Niti Shastra. Alihi Bana Jyotishaka Stabdadi Bhuta Kimaikaka Preshita Preshakaschaiva Shad Ete Sevakadhamaha. These are the 6 kinds of adhama sevaka, or 6 categories of incompetent disciples. The first is alihi. Alihi here means a disciple who is like a bee. Just like a bee wanders from one flower to another, keeps moving from one tree to another, seeking some nectar, but never ever taking shelter of one flower completely. Similarly, the first type of disciple is like a bee who keeps moving from one guru to another guru, trying to seek some nectar, trying to seek some information. But there is no commitment, there is no loyalty, and there is no dedication involved. Basically, they like to hear from those who will tell them exactly what they want to hear. So they will hear and they will they will choose only those instructions which they think will suit their interest. So it's like picking up, they are very choosy, and they will not completely surrender, and they will not get the full fruits of surrendering. And because they don't trust everyone, they will because they are their own gurus, and they will do whatever their mind says. So their learning is very shallow. And today, especially in today's day and age, we see this category of people growing, where they don't want to really commit to one person, one institution. They want to go everywhere, pick up something good, and do what they want to do. That's the first kind. The second category of disciple is bana. Bana means arrow. They are always shooting. They are always shooting questions. They are always argumentative. They are always argumenting, or very much in the mood of debating, rather than trying to surrender and rather than trying to learn something and submit. They actually give more problem to their spiritual master than giving pleasure to their spiritual master. Badrinarayan Maharaj recalls that there was one professor who came from Caltech, and this professor, he was from the Vedanta school, and he came in front of Prabhupada, and he kept arguing with Prabhupada, again and again and again, how ultimately the goal of life is to move from personal to impersonal, how the goal of life is to move from form to formless. And then he kept repeating, keep quoting various he quoted various scriptures. And then Prabhupada asked him, "Are you done?" When he had nothing to speak, Prabhupada said, "Are you done?" And then this person ran out of words, and Prabhupada then began quoting from left, right, center, from Upanishads, from Itihasas, from various Samhitas, Vedas, Puranas. And this person who was actually standing, all of a sudden he bent down a bit. And then when Prabhupada quoted left, right, center, he actually melted. And then Prabhupada asked him, "Do you have any questions?" He said, "Swamiji, can we have kirtan?" And this was the same person who thought that the devotees are sentimentalists. When they do kirtan, it's only out of sentiments. So here we will come across various people who are not willing to completely accept at one go, but they are more in the mood of debating, questioning, arguing. And there's nothing wrong, but ultimately, somewhere down the line, they must accept a bona fide authority. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, in one of the lectures, he says that no matter how big a disciple may be, a disciple must always appear to be foolish in front of one's spiritual master. Guru more murkha dekhi korila shashan. And we all know how Prabhupada, when he went in front of his spiritual master for the first time, Prabhupada himself actually questioned his spiritual master. That we are ourselves not independent, and how are you telling first we must get independence, and then we must think of preaching in the English to the English-speaking audience. And that time, the way Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur conversed with him, Prabhupada mentions that I was happy to be defeated by my spiritual master. So this is the second category of disciples who are always in the argumentative mode. The third is Jyotishaka. Jyotishaka they are not astrologers. No, this disciple are not astrologers, but they wait. It's like they wait for the right moment. They wait for the right stars, the constellation, to be in the perfect position. Then only they will do something, for their spiritual master. So waiting for that constellation which appears once in 10,000 years. So that day will never come. They just keep delaying. Brahmanand Swami mentions about his own brother Garga Muni that when Prabhupada would come in the evening at the storefront to give a talk, everyone would bow down to Srila Prabhupada. But Garga Muni, he did not feel like bowing down. He said, why should I bow down? So he would just sit there. And this went on for quite some time. And Garga Muni also felt very much self-conscious about. So one day he happened to ask this question to Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada said, any questions? So he said, Swamiji, when you come into the room, everyone bows down. But I don't feel like bowing down. So I'm not going to do it because it would be very artificial if I do it without that feeling coming from within. So I'm waiting for that feeling to come from within. Prabhupada said, no. Although you may not feel like bowing down, you must bow down. Because by bowing down, feelings will come. So we just cannot keep waiting for the feelings to come. Many people, they say, I will do bhakti only when the feeling comes from within. But Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, only when you will do manmana bhav mad bhakto will the feelings come. Only when you perform bhakti will the feelings come. And when when the feelings will come, automatically you will perform more and more bhakti. So it's symbiotic, it's interconnected. So here, the third type of a disciple is a Jyotishaka disciple, who will keep waiting, but never move ahead. The fourth is Stabdi Bhuta. Stabdi Bhuta are the lazy disciples, to be too short, to just cut short the whole thing. Basically, they will hold back. Although they have the ability, they have the facility, they have the opportunity, they have so much intelligence, but still they hold back their energy and don't give themselves fully. That is the fourth type of disciple, the fourth category, Stabdi Bhuta. I will take the fifth one later. The sixth one is Preshita Preshaka disciple. Basically, someone who will pass the buck. They will tell others to do, but they will themselves not do. They themselves don't want to take up the responsibility. They themselves don't want to be accountable. They will keep telling others to do. But they themselves, when it comes, they will keep deflecting responsibility instead of owning it. That's the fifth type of, sixth type of disciple. And the fifth type of disciple that's mentioned is Kim Ekekaha. Kim Ekeka, the incompetent disciple that we are talking about. Who will think, why me? This is a why me disciple. Kim Ekekaha. Why my spiritual master is telling me only to do and not anyone else? Or no one else is doing, so why should I also do it? This is the sixth category. That person doesn't take the initiative on his own. So, in Japan, there is a saying. It says that if everyone can do it, I can also do it. But if no one can do it, I must do it. No, this is their mood. If no one can do it, then I must definitely give my best. No, ours is ulta. This is the ulta disciple. This category is ki mein ke kaha. If everyone can do it, if everyone is doing it, then why should I do it? And if no one is doing it, then how can I also do it? I also can't do it. But here, we see this quality, the opposite of this quality is so very prominent in Srila Prabhupada. If no one can do it, I must do it. And this is what Srila Prabhupada did, which no one did it ever. No, Prabhupada did something unprecedented, something historical. The world had never seen, the world had never ever experienced. So Prabhupada truly embodies this quality. If no one can do it, I must do it. So I've just jotted down 18 unprecedented things that Prabhupada did, which no one did ever. Of course, we are running short of time. I don't know if we can cover all those. But just the summary of those unprecedented things that Prabhupada did for the whole world, for the betterment of this world. The first, we all know, but it is so very important for us to actually remember, recollect, and increase our appreciation for Srila Prabhupada, for what he has done. Many a times, because we keep hearing this Prabhupada's achievement again and again, so we take it lightly. But when we hear all these achievements put together in one place, then we feel, oh yeah, Prabhupada did something different. So I've just put down, of the many, just 18 unprecedented things that Srila Prabhupada achieved. The first, he pioneered the global spread of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, the word yoga was known to the world, but Bhakti Yoga was not known to the world outside India. But Prabhupada gave it a global touch. Prabhupada gave it a global presence, the word Bhakti Yoga. And he brought that Vedic wisdom from India to the West. That's the first detail. We can discuss some other time, but I'm just touching upon. Second, at the age of 69, being an old man, he crossed the ocean all alone, and that to America. A journey which is very scary and practically unimaginable at his age. Third, he founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which is a global spiritual movement. He started this from scratch. Just having 40 rupees, as we all know. Started from scratch. And no one ever imagined that a small Indian monk would ever inspire such a global reach. That's the third. Fourth, Prabhupada did something which was never done before. He translated and he authored the key Vedic text like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, making the complex philosophy accessible to an ordinary person. Imagine Prabhupada would have not translated these texts in the English language. And of course, today we know more than 70 languages Bhagavad Gita has been translated. This was something which was unprecedented, never done before. Fifth, he built a worldwide network of temples and spiritual communities. Wherever he went, he planted temples. From New York to London, from Tokyo to Africa, wherever he visited, he planted these temples, adapting to the local culture. This is also very important. He was very flexible in in the details of how to follow the principles. Desha Kala Vibhagashaha. With such genius that without compromising on the principles, but shifting the details as per time, place, and circumstances. So basically, he bridged East and West. The sixth achievement, the unprecedented thing that Prabhupada achieved, is he emphasized self-sufficiency by creating farm communities all across the globe, keeping this motto of simple living and high thinking, and having a self-sustainability idea, which in today's day and age people are now starting to think and working on. And that too, when Prabhupada did all this without funding, or without the presence of social media. Still Prabhupada managed because of that pure faith and determination that he had. That is the sixth achievement. The seventh, he fostered cross-culture spirituality, where he did not mind uniting people from all races, all backgrounds and all classes. Prabhupada built a home in which the whole world could live. Eighth, he created a practical blueprint for modern spiritual living, integrating food, education, daily practice, and community living. Something that was never done before. Ninth, he democratized Vedic knowledge. Basically made it open for everyone, making it available to ordinary people, not just for the scholars, but for a layman also. 10th, he revived the Rath Yatra festival in the West. As we all know, no one ever did that. Something na bhuto, na bhavishyati, actually. Introducing it to the global audience for the first time and introducing the India's rich spiritual culture to the West. That was the 10th. 11th, he established holistic educational system like Gurukul all across the globe, wherever, from Texas, Houston, Dallas, where children could learn both the Vedic as well as modern education. 12th, he gave women empowerment, or he gave women prominent role in spiritual leadership. Something which is very rare in many traditional spiritual path, which is very, very rare. Prabhupada, in one sense, gave them equal status. And the 13th one is, he gave the world a sense of belonging, where he united, connecting people globally across boundaries. The 14th is, he integrated science and spirituality, had conversation with many scientists, showing how spirituality is scientific and practically transformative. That's the 14th unprecedented thing that Srila Prabhupada did. The 15th, he created a global sense of compassion, giving everyone a chance, every soul a chance to connect with the spiritual, the oldest yet new spiritual path. And of course, as we all know, he traveled across the globe 14 times in just 11 years. And that too, with his aging body, tolerating all the extreme weather conditions, jet lags, facing severe oppositions wherever he went, and also facing severe critics who did not appreciate his hard work then. Something unprecedented. 17th, the way Prabhupada At that time, there were no emails, there was not much digital renaissance, no, there was not much digital communication possible. But still, at that point of time, Prabhupada's correspondence with his disciples is something unprecedented. It is said that Prabhupada wrote more than 6,000 letters to his various disciples, giving them spiritual guidance, practical advice, and personal care. Something which was not so easy then. And he kept the entire community of devotees united across vast distances, something which no one ever could accomplish. And last, in spite of doing all this, the world Acharya always remains grounded and humble, which is also yet unprecedented. Because he had that deep conviction and confidence. He kept traveling. Wherever he traveled, he just lived simply, just giving credit to his own guru and his disciple. I'll just end with this one beautiful instance. I think I don't exactly remember, it is Gurudas Prabhu or Garg Muni Prabhu. Who went to London? Gurudas? Gurudas Prabhu. So Gurudas Prabhu was in London and he visited Indian Library and the Museum of London there. So there he found the works and the teachings and the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he started reading the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur then. And he found that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books were far more interesting than the books of Srila Prabhupada. That's what he felt. No, he honestly confesses. And so he, in his heart of heart, he liked Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings. And he knew that Prabhupada's teachings and Prabhupada's writings are the best. But then he thought maybe Prabhupada's teachings are sometimes repetitive. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings are filled with multiple things. So then, he did not tell this to Prabhupada. But he kept going to the library and kept reading the writings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So on one of the early morning walks, he told to Srila Prabhupada that I like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings, or I like Bhaktivinoda Thakur as my second favorite author. So he mentioned this to Srila Prabhupada. He actually lied. He actually lied to Srila Prabhupada. Because in his heart, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was his favorite. But he told on that occasion to Prabhupada that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is my second favorite author. Prabhupada, as soon as he heard this, Prabhupada looked at him and said, second? So he immediately understood Prabhupada read my mind. And then he said, actually, Swamiji, he's my favorite. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings are my favorite. And then Prabhupada, the statement that he made, bowled him over. Prabhupada said, yes, if I were 1/10 of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I would have become a devotee by now. This was Prabhupada's statement. Prabhupada already, he's done what no one has done. He's taken the message of message of Lord Chaitanya, across the globe. He's now many followers, many temples, and he's written himself. He's himself such a prolific author. But then Prabhupada, he's so grounded that as a perfect disciple of his spiritual master, he is giving all credits to his spiritual master and the father of his spiritual master by telling, if I were 1/10 of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, no, I would have become devotee by now. So the qualities that we saw today in the verses, no, are not just applicable between father and a son, but applicable between the disciple and a guru. What qualities that a disciple must imbibe in one's life. So we saw the 6 incompetent disciples, and we saw how Prabhupada possessed all the opposite of the incompetent Alihi, Bane, Jyotishakaha, like this. And Prabhupada, he was not amongst, no, he stood out different. He was not like others who thought, if no one has done, how can I do it? Prabhupada said, if no one has done, I must do it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.